right? That the Biden administration and the cops under the Biden regime were simply not prosecuting these criminal migrants, right? And Trump was going to do that, and then he was going to subsequently deport them. But of course, because that was a lie, and of course, people who were doing crimes, undocumented or documented, doesn't matter. Anyway. That's obviously AI. Haters will say it's AI, but it's not. I know. There's the new Kamala. 107 days is my candidate personal account of the shortest presidential campaign in modern history. Over the next few months, I will travel our country to share behind-the-scenes moments and lessons learned and how we keep moving forward together. I'll see you there. I can't believe... Dude, this morning I was listening to the New York Times Daily report on Laura Loomer. And it was a roller coaster of emotions for me because they just kept talking about Laura Loomer like she was a journalist, okay? And not a monster who, unfortunately, is considered a legitimate advisor because of how devastatingly bad American politics is in our day and age, okay? And I could not. They just kept saying she was a journalist with a penchant for gotcha moments. I'm like, she's not a journalist, man. She tried to start an ISIS fan club in her college and got expelled for trying to start an ISIS fan club at her university. Like, that's not journalism. That's just like a diabolically Islamophobic psychopath. She's been banned off of every application for being so viciously Islamophobic. Like, she literally got banned off of Uber, Postmates, Uber Eats. She got banned off the goddamn weather app for being like, why are Muslims on my application? I don't want Muslims to be on the application. She's an insane person. Like, genuinely an insane person. And now she got Trump's ear. And she's like actually dictating policy. She went from chaining herself to the Twitter headquarters because she got banned off Twitter to literally commanding the Trump administration, having Marco Rubio's ear, telling Marco Rubio, cut out aid, cut out like this program that you have where like some of the children who are being exploded with our weapons are coming to the United States of America for medical care. You need to stop giving them the medical visas to come to the United States. Like that's, and she got that. She got that wish across. She was able to convince Marco Rubio to stop that program. Anyway, we are ruled by monsters. Why did I talk about Laura Loomer in the process of talking about Kamala Harris? Because one of the interesting moments there was like after she got banned off of every application and everyone was like, you're a racist monster, please leave us. What did she do? She ran for office. Okay? Unsuccessfully twice. She ran for office unsuccessfully twice. That was enough for her to revitalize her media career and get into Trump's ear. And that's what I mean. I feel like people now run for office for clout, dude. Like, it's gotten to a point where people are just running for office for clout. Like, Kamala Harris right now, as one of the supposed leaders of the Democratic Party, she's supposed to be a voice, okay? She's supposed to be a voice for the people. She's supposed to be a voice for the counterbalance against growing fascism in this country. She literally was running for president, okay? That's what it's supposed to be under normal circumstances. But she's not, and everyone knows she's not. And this kind of shit pisses me off because this very clearly shows that she's just trying to sell a book. She doesn't give a fuck about nothing, dude. Nothing at all. She's just trying to sell a book. She hasn't said a damn thing since Donald Trump won. And now she's going on tour to sell a book. It blows my mind how transparent this is. Like, even when you're running for office, the highest office in the land, as the leader of the Democratic Party, you just discard this unique moment, this unique opportunity where you command the attention of tens of millions of people, and you just kind of throw that away and you don't do anything with it. You just have no ambitions whatsoever to change this country for the better. Oh my Lord. And it's crazy because, like, she's not even presenting herself as someone who even gives a shit. Like, she's not even trying to aesthetically make it seem as though she cares. All of these things show, all of these movements, her lack of interest in saying something. And then on top of that, her the moments where she does say something at the best of selling a book shows me that she doesn't give a fuck about anything.
And now, it is my honor
to now announce Kamala Harris.
Hey, Billy! Written a book in 107 days.
It's good to be home.
Shortest presidential campaign of all time.
Live from New York and Saturday.
What do you want people to take from the story that you have to tell of those 107 days?
Like, people should be treating Kamala Harris with disdain for having an opportunity to change the trajectory of a dying party as a relatively younger figurehead in a positive direction, to basically shed the dead weight. I know that that was never going to happen, chatters, so don't yell at me for saying this. I'm simply explaining this from the position of, like, what kind of power she had here, what kind of a unique opportunity she had here. Okay? Voters weren't even punishing her for the negative real wage growth that they experienced under the Biden administration. Like, the amount of goodwill that was ready to go for a fresh face, a new face. All she had to do was say, yeah, no more old folks. This Joe Biden stuff is not going to work. It's not working. We got to, we got to move in a different direction. No, the direction was more of the same. I love Joe Biden. I want to hug and kiss Joe Biden. I love the Republicans. I want to hug and kiss the Republicans. Amazing. Just handed over the keys to a goddamn incompetent fascist, man. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know what to say. And I keep repeating this over and over again, as I did while the campaign was taking place, and liberals never forgave me for being correct too early. Like, she's literally trying to sell a book, man. That's it. That's the only time. The only time she's out. She's out after 8 months of this incompetent fascist administration that she lost to, and she's going on tour to sell a book. Are you kidding me? Also, what does she think is going to happen? Every single time she goes out in public, there's going to be mad people protesting. Does she not realize that? Like, I don't understand. There's going to be people, just like with Chuck Schumer, when he was trying to sell the left is too anti-Semitic, we have to make them more pro-Israel book. Fun of Jill Stein a lot, but this is like a very Jill Stein moment from a Democrat. You know? This is the most Jill Stein coded, like Hillary Clinton did more after, you know what I mean? She probably shouldn't have, but goddamn. This is crazy. Where's Michigan? Bro, she's still avoiding Michigan, okay? Ironically enough. Why is she going to London? I don't know. British people know how to read as well. That's probably why. Fascinating old tweet with even more fascinating replies. In case you missed it, Rand Paul insists he never proposed ending aid to Israel, forgetting he said it more than once on tape. Democrats, ashamed my party supports Israel in spite of the indisputable. At least Senator Rand Paul struggles with it. Hashtag Gaza under attack. The Democrats, I think you're reading the wrong The crowd wrong, Dems. You should be the party to promote social justice and diplomacy. This is from 2014, chat. The Democrats, you might consider backing off the pro-Israel rhetoric. Paul is an anti-Semite, but Israel is raining horrors. The Democrats, when exactly did you stop being left-wing? The Democrats, at least Runt Paul didn't plagiarize it. What a shocker, a plagiarizer flip-flop. Whose ego is so fragile, integrity so non-existent, they have to lie about things proven on past tapes, bit of a little man. Awesome. This guy in the replies here is currently running for Congress in one of the new Dem districts opened up by Newsom's new map. He started running for a seat back in March, well before Newsom made it an easy Dem pickup. We went back in time to relitigate ancient drama here, but it's just funny that they've been evil for so long. Ay, ay, ay. Ben from Ice Cream posted about you. Hell yeah. I talked with Hasan on the Hunt about Up in Arms US, a movement to decrease wasteful Pentagon spending and give people what they really need, healthcare, education, and childcare. War is not good for the business of the American people. That's my goat. Like, in the simplest terms, by the way, look at how much money China has generated and spent internally to develop their own country, okay? As opposed to how much money America has generated in that same time frame. Let's look at the last 30 years. Look at where China has gone in the last 30 years. Look at where America has gone in the last 30 years. You will understand what endless militarism does. Record high profits for the wealthiest people. Make no mistake. I mean, look, we got like what, 90 billionaires in the 90s? Now we got 900. So obviously someone's doing great. It's just not you. You're not doing great. That's it. That's it. It's so frustrating. That's why when I show you like the veteran suicide rate exploding, I'm like, this is not simply to say like these guys are all bad, they're monsters or whatever, okay? This is to show you that the American government does not give a, okay? They do not care. They do not care about the civilians. They do not care about the military. Don't ever, even for a brief moment, get duped by the propaganda, the idea that like America cares about its own citizens. They do not. What is this? Breaking. The Trump administration says it'll be reviewing all 55 million people with U.S. visas for potential deportable violations. Oh my God. We are, oh God, this country sucks so much ass, bro. I swear to God. Oh my Lord, dude, we gotta, someone's gotta stop this. Like, I don't know. Ugh, it's so ass. It is so unimaginably, uncontrollably fresh ass. Okay? Red hot ass. That's what this is. It is shockingly bad. Shockingly bad. The situation is so awful. Good thing he's only going after the illegals, you know, the ones without visas. Yeah. Remember, the conversation started with these guys are all criminals. Okay? Remember, the conversation started with all migrants are criminals. All undocumented migrants are doing crimes, doing like apes. They're beheading people in the streets, right? And then the hidden underlying notion, the hidden underlying premise there was that these undocumented migrants that were doing like all these crimes, okay, were actually not even being prosecuted, right? That the Biden administration and the cops under the Biden regime were simply not prosecuting these criminal migrants, right? And Trump was going to do that, and then he was going to subsequently deport them. But of course, because that was a lie, and of course, people who were doing crimes, undocumented or documented, doesn't matter, were being prosecuted and being sent to jail or being deported, they couldn't actually find people to deport, so they immediately went after people who were working in the fields. MS-13 gang members are not sitting in a parking lot at Home Depot, man. They're not actually in the fields picking crops. That's what they did. They went after those guys, and then they realized that a lot of these right-wing Republican business owners were like, dude, what are you doing? You're just like ruining our businesses. We are going to have an insane hyperinflation if you actually eviscerate the agricultural output in this country by just going after every farmhand, you know? So he turned around and he was like, all right, we'll scale back from that. My B. But now he's like trying to aesthetically pursue like 55 million people with visas, bro, for potential deportable violations. And dumbasses don't realize, so many morons still don't realize that this is all a ruse, a very violent one, but it's a ruse nonetheless. It's so frustrating to have to entertain this completely made up alternative reality that these guys have hysterically developed because no one on the opposing side has been able to effectively counter message against it. The real goal here is to use the mechanism that the federal government controls, immigration, to make the country more white, or at least satisfy the white nativist urges of some of the most radical elements in his base. And in the process of doing so, he's just normalizing this kind of white superiority complex. He's normalizing this kind of white supremacy. That's it. It's white supremacy through and through. What do you mean? At its most basic level, there is fundamentally no difference between a dude that was born beyond a border and someone like yourself. The only difference is we just had more at our disposal. We had more money. We had a better upbringing. Our material conditions were better. Okay? That's it. There's no like genetic inferiority. That's what white supremacists believe. And ultimately, this is not going to solve any of the problems that he said he was going to tackle, because he didn't win because he was, because there are tens of millions, not hundreds of millions of Americans who are like, oh, yeah, I can't wait to pack up all of my neighbors. There are certainly people who feel that way. Make no mistake. But those numbers are not as loud and as big as you think they are. Not everyone is a Asmongold style, yeah, this is based type dipshit, okay? Most people saw the genuine problem with inflation, the affordability crisis they were experiencing, and the anger and resentment that they felt towards the institutions that was not helping them, and looked at Donald Trump and his solutions as, yeah, we'll give it a shot, because they, at the most, did not care, okay? They did not care about who was picking the crops for them. They didn't care about the humanity of these people. Okay. Or they could not envision, or they were stupid enough to believe Trump's, lies, right? Or they could not envision how devastating this would be, not only for the economy, but just like the social fabric that keeps us together. And here we are. As conditions worsen, the Trump administration is actively pursuing more and more up ways of implementing some kind of weird white nativist anti-immigrant agenda. This is insane. Even when people say like, oh man, I have no problem with them, why don't they come in the right way? It's because they don't understand the right way is shut off deliberately so that they come in the quote unquote wrong way. Many of these people have come into the right way, and Trump is still trying to kick them out. And not only that, but this is not a real solution. Okay? This is not a real solution at all. This is red meat to the base. I have DACA and family members that are undocumented, and I live in constant anxiety. I'm just waiting for the next shoe to drop. Like, this is insane. I have to stop myself from watching too much politics because I get anxiety attacks. I also live near DC, so I'm always anxious. I hate it here. I'm sorry to hear that. Things are going to get better, I promise. Eventually. If not now, in the near future. Wait, hold on. I have to schedule something. I don't think so, fam. Why do you believe that? There is nothing else to do. There's nothing else to do but hope. What do you mean? We will keep pushing, okay? We will keep pushing. I still, at the end of the day, believe in the good nature of man, okay? I don't want to entertain the idea that like everyone is evil. I still believe that people can be convinced, people can change their minds, people can become active, radical elements in society that will help you and your neighbors. That's it. I am living proof of this, and this community is a living, breathing, existing proof of this as well. There are plenty of people who went from, watching Ben Shapiro videos to becoming community organizers, becoming labor organizers, becoming activists, and won. People from this community, working on campaigns like Zohran Mamdani's campaign is comprised almost entirely of fucking HasanAbi heads. So, it's you just got to keep doing. You just got to keep pushing no matter what. Put one foot in front of the next. And before you know it, you will build something out of it. You will hopefully leave a better tomorrow for the next generation. And the one after that. There's no admitting defeat, no matter how dire things get. You have to remind yourself of that. And you have to also remind yourself of like victories that you take in the process, no matter how marginal it is, right? That's it. That's why I always stress the importance of like community organizing. That's why I always stress the importance of like direct action that you take, going to protests, going to rallies, going to DSA meetings, going to PSL meetings. The reason why I say that is because when you're there, you are reminded that there are so many other people who feel the exact same way that you do. Maybe many more that just don't have the tools to communicate exactly what their anxieties and their frustrations are, but they're right there. So it's up to all of us to show them. It's up to all of us to basically show them that, no, you're not in the wrong for feeling this way. When you see something that just smells weird to you and you're like, I don't really with this, you're supposed to pull them out of that stupor, okay? You cannot buy the revolution. You cannot make the revolution. You can only be the revolution. It is in your spirit or it is nowhere. Ursula Le Guin. There's also a great feeling there too. Like I said this already, solidarity is an expression of love. It's the closest that you feel, like the warmness that you feel being surrounded by people who are like-minded, who are good people, who just actively want to change these horrible systems, who want to do right by others. Okay, there's a lot of optimism there. Zoran is a great example of this. Like you can use that as a jump off point. And that's why I always try to stamp out pessimists. Lol, cope you commie. Keep coping, Lamau. You think you can say this when you support the Democrat Party who supports transgender? Personally, I would find it funny if you had transgender like Hunter Schafer. That would make me so mad. Ha 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 ha. No way you would do that. It would make me so upset, Lamau. He's so stupid. No, that's not a hog, chatters. This is a person making a joke, clearly making a joke. Yeah, I'd be so mad if you had Hunter Schafer on the broadcast. It would make me so mad. Don't do it. Ha ha ha. One of my close friends recently broke from the Republican way of thinking. My old self would have made fun of him, but after watching Hasan for a while, I've learned that an empathetic approach is the most useful because I was able to help my friend understand why the institutions fail us and that the anger we felt should be directed to both parties. Yes, exactly. This is why I always try to explain to people, like, there are others who are more radical than me in the methods that they apply, in the way that they communicate about certain things. I'm never going to be that person. I'm always going to be the person who tells you, I understand the power of social conditioning and the way that like the average person takes for granted a lot of structural inequalities as just the reality. Okay. And therefore, within these structures, in order to tackle these structures from within, you have to be more graceful with people who are even spewing hateful shit at times. You have to remind yourself that everyone has the capacity to learn. Everyone has the capacity to change. I think hardening your perspective to signal your moral superiority unironically comes across as off-putting to many people. And I totally understand why people go, well, off-putting, tough titties, we're right, they're wrong. I get it, but you're not going to actually win a lot of people on board, win a lot of people to your side by doing that, right? And the goal is to cast a wide net and engage in that deprogramming and try to get people on board. Try to get people to realize what the truth is, that this system is designed in a way where these violent outcomes are taking place. You can't just leave people experiencing those violent outcomes rudderless. You can't just leave those people alone and just like hope that they inevitably arrive at a copy of like, I don't know, a copy of like Marxist literature. That's not going to happen. That's never going to happen. You just have to guide them in that direction. You have to explain to people why things are the way that they are. A lot of people I talk to, a lot of organizers I talk to, even people who are running for office will tell me I use a lot of the language that I hear here, you know, in your broadcast, and it's been very effective. It's been very effective at converting people. It's been very effective at like changing people's minds, changing people's perspectives to make them redirect their attention to those who are actually the power players. Okay? That's what you got to do. Hasan talks mad shit on Maoist, but spits Maoist theory so much. When have I talked shit on Maoist? Come on now. Come on now. Some of the greatest political movements that have existed in this country that have been phenomenal in its success have been Maoist, the Black Panther Party. How come you don't self-describe as Marxist? It clearly applies. When have I not done that? What? When have I been like, I'm not a Marxist? You always use the line Maoist third worldist when ridiculing certain leftists. Yeah, the Black Panther Party is a great example of like a demonstration of Maoism in the imperial core by a people that have been undermined and kept as an underclass. But it's not a peasant rebellion, you know? Most hypocrite Marxist ever, Lamau. Let me guess. Rich. That's what you're going to say, right? Shut HasanAbi, you're a champagne socialist. Socialism is when no iPhone, no water. Vuvuism is whatever I decided socialism is. A guy who doesn't actually know what socialism is at all and despises it anyway and is terrified of it anyway is now getting to determine what socialism actually is. Thank you. Anyway, here's what the Democrats are busy with. MSNBC, Jim Vandehei on the rising Democratic MAGA movement.
Jim Vandehei. So, Jim, we kind of walked right into your column. Let's read from it. It's titled The Rising Democratic MAGA Movement. You write Democrats needing, quote, their own version of a populist, anti-establishment, MAGA-like makeover. So what does that look like, Jim?
Yeah, it looks like what you were just talking about with Gavin Newsom, right? Trying to adopt a lot of the techniques that you saw from Trump that you've seen from MAGA. Get on social media, be a warrior, curse a lot, try to have a lot of edge, insert yourself into the news cycle. I think the bigger part, though, is what you've seen happening in New York, what you've seen happen in Minneapolis, the popularity of Bernie Sanders, the number of people turning out for AOC events, that right now the momentum in the party is very much for the very progressive wing of the Democratic Party, which is not that much of a shock, but I think is probably problematic in the off-year elections for Democrats. It's just not where...
Guys, please look away at the only motion within the Democratic Party, the most popular Democrats. Look away from them. Do not go in that direction. It's very bad. It's the worst, actually. Why? Because I said so. Because I said so. It's really bad. It's going to be really bad, okay? What's really good is what the Democrats have done so far, which is hug and kiss the Republicans, okay? That's really good. Even though it failed, and it continues to fail over and over again, do not do the thing that is succeeding, because that's scary. Why? Because I'm a rich guy, and I am afraid of it, and therefore you should be too. Politics is about putting forward the most corporate-backed candidate that is an empty, hollowed-out suit, a husk, a person with no real interest in making things better for others, okay? That's what politics is about. The more annoying and neoliberal your candidate is, the more adult you are, the braver you are, the smarter you are, because obviously that is what is supposed to happen. What do you mean? What do you mean? You're supposed to have adults in the room, right? That's the attitude, right?
The vast majority of the country seems to be. I think it's one of the reasons that the Democratic brand overall is low.
An insane take. Apparently, the energy and popularity of Mamdani and Bernie is a problem for the Dems, and meanwhile, their low approval ratings have nothing to do with the clear unpopularity and fecklessness of establishment leaders like Schumer, Jeffries. Sorry, what? Can you imagine if like liberal instruments of the media were actually actively pushing for more progressive candidates? Just think for a moment, like what that would do, because your grandparents and your parents, Gen X boomers, okay, older millennials, older fail-ennials, they all get their notes from these organs still. Many of them have moved on. Many of them have actually started, looking at the internet as well, luckily. Okay, they get their notes from independent news outlets as well. They have a more diverse media diet, I would say, even though there are some shortcomings on that front too, as we all know. But having said that, there are still a lot of with institutional power that get their notes from the New York Times and get their notes from MSNBC. Their numbers are dwindling, but it doesn't matter. And if those guys are constantly communicating to the older generations that this different method is actually dangerous, some of them, unfortunately, are silly enough to believe that. But make no mistake, those people will fall in line. That's the reality. Those people will always fall in line. This is something that I have explained over and over again. If you think that the party loyalists that wanted, for example, for Joe Biden to stay in the race were not going to vote for Kamala Harris, you're delusional. They would vote for anyone with a D next to it, okay? They're not voting for Joe Biden because Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, because Kamala Harris is presenting like an alternative that they really enjoy. They're voting because they're harm reduction voters who believe in harm reduction, who understand that like the Democratic Party is, at least on some issues, marginally better than the Republicans. That's why they're voting for the Democrats. Those guys are going to vote for Bernie Sanders. They're never not going to vote for Bernie Sanders. Okay? That's it. It's ridiculous to assume that like consistent blue no matter who voters are going to turn around and be like, well, I really hate the progressive guy that is, hold on, advocating for the same things that other candidates that I voted for also advocated for. Why would I not vote for this person? Like Zohran Mamdani is a great example of this because, like, yeah, he's a socialist and that's a good thing. But like his advocacy in the mayoral race is not about like seizing the means of production. His advocacy in the mayoral race and the limited confines of like what that office and the power that office holds revolves around like free buses, fast and free buses, you know, trying to fix the housing market crisis, freezing the rent. Those are not radical propositions. It's only a radical proposition if your brain is distorted from endless amounts of propaganda from both right-wing outlets and also liberal outlets alike. It's crazy. Anyway, we're obviously going to talk about Israel-Palestine in a second, but we got Ben Rhodes popping off. Again, Obama's very own foreign policy guy, Ben Rhodes, chirping quite a bit about Israel and the Democratic Party's inability to sever ties with Israel, even though it's dead weight. I feel like we are doomed to consistently relitigate the same exact problems. They just don't give up. The Dems just don't care about fixing any of these goddamn issues. Perhaps refusing to endorse a Democratic nominee for mayor who has inspired new people to get into politics in the country is the biggest city where you also live in is a clue for a broader problem. Just one idea. This is an article from the Rolling Stones that says Dems are struggling to register voters and raise money. Everyone is ringing the alarm bells about the Democrats, as I have as well. Okay? I'm not Mr. Electoralism. But I've told you over and over again, voting is still very important, especially for local office, ballot measures, and the like. Okay? It's the most consequential, least impactful thing that you can do. There's never been a moment where you catch me saying, don't vote. Contrary to what all my idiotic haters routinely lie to their audiences about. If only they had actually come here once and listened to me instead of seeing it from a negative framework, and just outright lies, they would know that. So it's the bare minimum, but it's still consequential. Now, I have warned about what I suspect could potentially happen during the midterms, if there are even midterms at all. Okay? And one of the things that I see is the Democrats' inability to even actively put up any fight whatsoever against the Trump administration is causing a lot of enmity against the Democrats. You're such a tool, dude. I love this. He's talking to the son of a billionaire. Your rich dad forgot to pay the internet bill. Just move on. With a really rich dad. Israel's like question mark. Yes, my billionaire father. If you got duped by an AI article, you are exactly who I'm talking about. Okay? But I'm glad that you're in here so you can hear my words, okay, coming directly out of my mouth instead of like listening to a moron who lies to you about what my positions are. Don't yell at this person. At least he's in here. We can change that person's mind, okay? He said, nah. Well, stick around. Stick around. Even by accident, you might learn some stuff, okay? So, as I was saying, I have warned that the Democrats think not doing anything is going to secure them a comfortable, narrow victory in the midterms if they happen at all. This is not the case. They believe that. Okay? They believe that, but there is no guarantee that they're going to actually secure a marginal victory at all. Because what they've done since the election defeat has basically been to do the exact same shit that they've been